Good evening. Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm about to give a really unpopular opinion, and I'm sure it's going to be especially unpopular amongst women.
I'm Gray Mars. Break a record by being with 100 men in one day. And right after she was done, she recorded a documentary.
I'm a vegan weed. Call yourself fresh and wear the same weak ass turtleneck on every show. Goddamn. Then we got goddamn the Sudanese Sambo. Bruh, man.
And I'm Enzo.
Bringing up in my lives is they're like, oh well, he's violating the Constitution by having a meme coin and him making money off it in office and everything like that. I was like, if that was the case, like there would be lawsuits up the ass and impeachment in court.
I'm skeptic. Like I always say, don't let anybody trample on your constitutional rights.
I'm Mia. That's not a correct power dynamic in my mind. Typically, the people that are trying to be removed are not in control. That's why they're easily being removed.
The government, states, they start putting these RICO acts on Diddy, all of these guys, and try to put it on these ongoing criminal organizations. I ain't never seen the government put a RICO act on the KKK.
Which happened? Come on, man. You gotta acknowledge this. This is the problem that I have with elders like you, because you fail to acknowledge that this stuff has happened.
If we sit there and be old school, we gonna miss the boat. You know, a lot of this kids 19 years old buying houses with Bitcoin, buying Maserati.
Wow.
Police to go after me because I criticized him in a video because he takes blood money from AIPAC and in return supports genocide like his life depends on it. You won't believe what I found. His name is Ritchie Torres. He's a member of Congress and he represents the poorest district in the nation, the Bronx. And I looked into his social media and found that since October 2023, Ritchie Torres has talked about Israel 33 times. For every single time he's talked about poverty. He's mentioned Israel over 330 times and talked about poverty only 10 times. In other words, Ritchie Torres talks about Israel 3,320% more than he talks about poverty. When Ritchie was running for election, he loved talking about poverty. He said he came from poverty and he was going to help others. He was proud to be representing the poorest district in the nation. But it seems like what he really was proud of was being able to represent Israel in U.S. Congress. Has Ritchie Torres...
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Party. Why I like the new party? Number one, it's a group of people that's on a panel. We all have differences, but we all basically still come together at the end of the day. The new party for me is about unity. The new party for me is about educating people to the truth, letting people know what's been going on in our country. With that being said, shout out to the new party, man. We're gonna keep it going with y'all.
Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
I'm Enzo.
Mia.
Oh, sorry. I was waiting for Kamal. I'm Mia.
I'm skeptic.
And tonight on the new party, we have a very, very special guest. I'm so excited. We have
Jose Vega joining us. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most unpredictable and explosive political races in New York, maybe even the whole country. We're talking about the Bronx, New York's 15th congressional district, a district that's long been represented by Ritchie Torres, a polished Democrat with deep establishment ties and growing national visibility. But he's got a problem now. Jose Vega has entered the race. Jose, let everybody know who you are and why you're running.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for letting me come on here. This is actually my second time running. The first time I ran against him in 2024. Last year, I had announced in March or February of 2024, and I'm running as an independent. I ran as an independent last year. I ran as an independent now. The reason I'm running is because, well, for one, I'm from here. I'm born and raised here in the Bronx, and I've developed a little bit of a reputation for my, I call them interventions, where I stand up and I confront politicians. And these videos have gone extremely viral. I have over 30 videos of them, of me confronting different politicians, journalists, influencers, not influencers, but media influencers. The New York Times, famously, I went after them. I decided that Ritchie Torres, who is the representative of the poorest congressional district in the country, although he's more occupying it than he is representing it, because he doesn't do anything for the people of the Bronx. The Bronx looks like crap, and for the last 50 years, people have been told that it's going to get better at some point, and it hasn't gotten better. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I refused to run under the two-party system because I think the Democratic Party, as the Republican Party, are both genocidal entities. And, I think it's time for the two-party system to die, and I genuinely mean that. And just because one or two candidates in the Democratic Party may come up that might be good, it doesn't sway me at all. So that's why I'm here.
Well, Jose, I've been saying the same thing. I've had a watershed moment. I voted for Trump, but I'm a proud independent at this point. So I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to let Gray Mars, the founder of the channel, go next.
Jose, what's your day job?
I run for Congress. I quit my job just to run for Congress full time. When I first announced last year, I was running I was a barista at this little shop called the Boogie Down Grind. But I decided to quit maybe about a month into running my race, because I realized, like, if I'm going to actually start this movement, if I'm actually going to start an independent platform from scratch, I don't think there's a viable third party, or not that I'm running for a third party, but a viable independent force in the country right now that I thought, like, there's libertarians, and then there's the Green Party, and there were other places like the People's Party, but none of those places really align with what I think. And I'm not really interested in starting a quote unquote third party. I'm interested in catalyzing other people around the country to also run as independents, and whatever that may mean to them. For example, an independent here in New York may not mean the same thing as an independent in Michigan, or an independent in Florida, or an independent in California. But to have people in government that people can trust, and not, just your representatives' policies, decision making is not based on who's in their pockets, but to know that the person is representing you is the person that you can talk to if you need to, and can be reasoned with, and whose mind can be changed, or your mind can be changed because they may know something you don't, or see something you don't see it the same way. I think that that's more important. So I quit my job in March of 2024 to do this full time. And by the grace of God, I've been provided for so far, and I'm still here.
Okay. Enzo? Oh, did you have another question, Gray? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Enzo, what's your question?
All right. So my question, it's a little bit, I just got two quick questions. First question would be, what would you say the biggest issue is in your district, and how would you go about changing it?
The biggest issue, I think, right now, so when people say it's the poorest congressional district in the country, they're going by the statistic that 35% of the people here live underneath the poverty line. And the poverty line, I think in New York City, is $34,000 a year. And the median income of the 35% of people is $22,000 a year. And I'm part of that, if not less than that. And I think the biggest issue here in the district is poverty. And of course, that with that, that's also kind of an umbrella term, right? Because like when you say poverty, is it just the case that people don't have enough money? No, you have an illiteracy problem. You have a lack of healthcare problem. You have basically the Bronx, I think, ranks worst in almost all categories in the entire United States. So my solution is a complete revitalization of the Bronx economy, but you can't see it just from bottom up. I'm running for Congress because my solutions would be federal, meaning that everything would have to come from the top down. So one of the ways that we would have to revitalize the economy here in the Bronx and New York City and in the country as a whole is you have to think big. You need to have a crash program right now of talking about of actually building 50 new American cities in 10 years. The last American city that we built was like Las Vegas, Reno, Nevada, or something like that. I think it was Las Vegas. It's completely a joke. And President Trump said that he was going to build, these new Trump cities, and we haven't seen that yet. But the way the Bronx would fit into that, and of course, every other formerly industrialized part of the United States, is that the Bronx in Hunts Point used to produce 50,000 metric tons of steel. And the New York City skyline was built from this one company in the Bronx in Hunts Point. So you have a problem where you need to completely revitalize the entire country. And you have a problem where you also have a lot of illiterate, uneducated, unskilled young men and women who are between the ages of 18 and 30 who need to be put rapidly through a program where they can get the skills they need in order to be city builders. So you're talking engineers, you're talking mechanics, you're talking nurses, you're talking healthcare providers, you're talking welders, you're talking surveyors, you're talking about all the kinds of things that are needed when you're building a city. Of course, someone's got to manage the sewers, somebody's got to manage the water infrastructure. You're talking about redeveloping and reshaping a whole young population of a new generation of Americans to build cities. And I would bring back industry here in the Bronx, and I would make the Bronx a center for that re-education, where we would take what FDR did back in the 1930s with the Civilian Conservation Corps, and I have a policy called the Space Civilian Construction Corps. You take anyone between the ages of 18 to 26, and after 2 years, they are at the level of a STEM engineer that could work at NASA. And some of them might end up going to work at NASA. Some of them might end up working on probes, satellite dishes, rocket ships that will be sent to the moon and Mars, because technological development does benefit the domestic economy. And so, giving the country a mission again is how you can alleviate poverty in the country.
Okay. Before Enzo asks his next question, I'm going to play a clip to show everybody who Ritchie Torres is. This was in 2020 when Ritchie first won. That's when he first won, right, Jose?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm not prepared to declare victory until every vote is counted. But even if I win the election, it's governing that matters. It's delivering results for the everyday people of the South Bronx. It would be the honor of my life to represent this borough. It's my home. And I would not be here today were it not for my mother. And the South Bronx is full of mothers like mine who have suffered and struggled and sacrificed so that her baby boy can have a better life than she did. And the opportunity to represent the essential workers of this borough, to represent the powerful mothers of this borough, it's the culmination of a dream. But we have to count every ballot.
Okay, Enzo, what's your next question?
So next question is just pretty much like a little bit of a layup question. Being a native of the Bronx, you got to be a Yankees fan, right?
Don't put me on the spot like that. Don't do that.
Come
to
on,
me.
man.
No. Of course, Bronx Bombers all the way.
All right, thank you. That's all. I'm a huge Yankees fan, so I had to ask.
No problem.
Jose, before we go to the next person, what changed from that clip to now? Like, He said he was for the working class, and from what I see, he's not.
By the way, Nora, I sent you a video if you want to play one of mine, which people may have
Okay,
seen.
sure.
But what changed from then to now? I guess that Israeli money hit different, you know. Well, no, it's not necessarily true. That's not when that happened. He got changed when he was in the city council. One of the reasons he left from the city council to run for Congress was he said he wanted to help the housing problems. And the way to do that was he had to go into the federal, he had to go into a federal position. And so he said he was going to run for Congress so that he could then figure out a way to get the federal government involved in NYCHA housing. And actually, I got some of my statistics from him listening to his interviews from when he was in the city council. For example, NYCHA public housing would be the 37th largest city if you only count NYCHA housing. Like if you were to just take the NYCHA housing here in New York City, it would be the 37th largest city in the United States, something like that, right? And so he said he wanted to go and help the people who live in public housing, because he's a product of public housing, to get federal funding so they can get repairs. I can guarantee you, as somebody who has gone up and down the broken elevators of the public housing in the South Bronx, it's very much still broken, riddled with piss, graffiti. The maintenance workers take 2 to 3 weeks just to come and look at the problem, and then another 2 to 3 months to maybe even begin fixing it, to the point that people in these public houses have their own people in the, like, there are other residents who are handymen who, you know, they just call each other and say, hey, can you come fix my cabinet? Can you come and see why this isn't working or why that's not working? So, you know, I think the other thing was that he was never genuine. He was always groomed to be the congressman of this area, and he was always propped up by Israeli money and Wall Street money to be in the Congress. See, the thing is, Ritchie Torres, I think he's 38 now. He was 33 when he first ran, and AIPAC was looking for somebody, you know, in a district like this. You know, it's a very poor congressional district, gerrymandered because it has Riverdale. So in this district, you have the richest zip code in the United States, or one of the richest zip codes in the United States, which is Riverdale and Fieldston. And then you have one of the poorest zip codes in the country, which is the South Bronx. And he was groomed to just be there. And AIPAC was like, oh, great, we can keep this guy in there for a very long time. He's young. We're going to put a lot of money in his treasure chest, and he'll just stay there forever. That was always the plan for AIPAC, to just have congressmen at their whim and use them however they want.
Yeah, 1.4 million. All right, Mia, your go.
Hi, thank you for coming on and talking with us. So my first question is, I want to talk about food deserts and what you are going to do for the Bronx when it comes to food deserts, and how to get affordable, fresh food into your potential constituents, especially the kids, because your answer will lead into my second question.
That's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was recently studying why is it that groceries cost so much money, and what the government used to do to alleviate the prices. And there used to be something called parity pricing with farmers. So farmers, especially during the Great Depression and up until 1973, and then up again until 1999 with the repeal of Glass-Steagall, if farmers couldn't sell all their produce, the government would buy it. And then they would then resell the vegetables, the produce, the dairy, whatever it was, at an insanely discounted price, because they weren't looking to make a profit. So for one, you have a lot of milk that is just being spoiled, eggs that are being spoiled. You have a lot of vegetables that aren't getting to these places because a lot of the corporate farmers have taken over and killed a lot of the family farmers, and the government isn't really interested in preserving the family farmer. So I got the benefit of going out to South Dakota and to these other farm states where our food is actually grown. And there's a shrinkage of the family organic farmer, and there's an increase in corporate farming, which gives you all of this GMO'd artificial crap. And you also don't have a big focus in advancing farming techniques either. So you do need to have a big revival of an agricultural industry and a distribution network where you can make sure that this fresh food doesn't just get tossed, it gets thrown away. You actually have to make sure it gets into the places like the South Bronx. And you're right. This place is full of food deserts. You go up Westchester, Westchester. The 2 train stop on Westchester. It's like there's a Taco Bell, a Panda Express, a McDonald's, a Burger King, all in like one block. So you don't even have like family-owned restaurants anymore. You've just got corporate fast food chains. It's all being priced out. Because I think it kind of relates to the same question of like, how do you actually tackle this stuff top down? So one is I would refocus our distribution efforts and make sure that fresh food doesn't get thrown away or gets, put into a waste because farmers aren't able to sell it all, and just have the government buy it and then resell it at a discounted rate because the government's not supposed to make a profit.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I'm definitely thinking it would be very beneficial for the Bronx to have some sort of farm to table food initiative. Where I live further north, about 6-7 hours north. I'm up in northern New England, and we have a lot of co-ops. We have a lot of family farms, and they sell food literally by the box, by the crate, and it's cheap. And I mean, the state of New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont have all expanded a lot of their programs to where it is cheap. It's like $20 a box. And I mean, at the grocery store, it would cost you $200 for everything that you would get in the box because they don't want fresh food to be thrown away. And then my second question is with high food deserts, kind of really does, in my personal opinion, they're linking it to literacy rates. So it looks like New York itself has a terrible, terrible literacy rate. Over 51% of students cannot read at grade level. So how do you plan on tackling literacy rates specifically in the South Bronx, given that it's one of the poorest nations? They have terrible, terrible literacy rates, which, in order to build the Bronx back up, you need to have adequate reading comprehension in order to run a welder, in order to do X, Y, and Z, in order to build these buildings. So, the food kind of directly ties into the kids, which you need in order to build the city up. So how are we going to combat the literacy rates?
You guys really are, you guys like working for me or something? I had the privilege of working for a nonprofit called the Foundation for the Revival of Classical Culture, which I credit for my background today. I was a product of it at the age of 14 years old, and then I ended up becoming a counselor, and then I worked within it until really just about 2021 or so. And one of the things that we did was we were setting up choruses around New York City, specifically to increase the literacy rate. There is something about the way the brain functions when you're teaching somebody how to sing, but sing classical music in a choral setting, and you're teaching them how to read sheet music. Scientifically, it's the fastest way you can spread literacy amongst young people. People under the age of 17 adapt pretty quickly when they learn how to read sheet music and they learn how to sing. So that was something that we were doing at like the nonprofit level. But at the federal level, you would need to redesign the curriculum so that it was actually focused towards making sure that the literacy rate stays high. So here in New York, for example, I think only 50% of high schoolers actually pass the English regions that we know of. Then there's, very famous cases like stuff that happened in Long Island and Brooklyn, where certain teachers and schools were just passing kids as regions for them, or just graduating them for them. So you have a pretty big illiteracy problem, and you have a pretty big systemic problem that starts from the top down, because nobody seems to care about these kids. Now, here with our congressional campaign, one of the ways that we've started doing it, one big philosophy of ours is that we're just going to act like a congressional representative, even if we're not voted in. We're electing ourselves to start. Every Friday night, we do an Edgar Poe reading where we teach people about Edgar Poe, because Edgar Poe lived here in the Bronx for the last 3 years of his life. And we read a short story that he wrote every Friday night, or a poem. And another thing is I encourage people to memorize poetry. And the importance of that is that if you teach somebody the ability to read, you change their life forever. And you would think that that's something that should just be kind of like common sense, that literacy should just be a basic human right that is taught to them. But the problem is that the entire education system is completely shot. So I guess in short, just to kind of sum up my answer, you would need to institute emergency choral programs as a way to spread the literacy rate amongst the people who are under 17 and under. And then if they're 18 and over, so if you 18 to 30, you can do the Space Civilian Construction Corps. One of the essential features of that program is teaching people how to read. Because in order to actually read a blueprint, in order to actually read a schematic, in order to read a outline for a plan or for a proposal, you need to know how to read. And so that's what FDR did in the CCC days, where he was just teaching people, not him personally, but the programs that he set up were teaching people how to read. And that's what I would do now as well. And we would have no shame about it, especially if you're 18 to 30. You know, a lot of people have difficulty reading today. And first of all, we just need to say that's okay. And let's just get you reading. Let's get you literate again. So anyway, there's two approaches. Below 17, you can start with a choral program. You can get them reading poetry and doing drama too. That's the other thing. If they're learning to memorize lines and they're learning to act out the lines that they're reading, this is why Shakespeare is so good. Because if they're memorizing monologues, if they're memorizing poetry, and they have to recite it, not only are they learning how to read the words on the paper, but they're learning to internalize it and bring emotion and meaning to it and apply their own subjective meaning to it as well. So not only are they familiarizing themselves and assimilating themselves with the content that they're reading and ingesting, but you know, they may even be able to write their own kind of stuff too, to be able to emulate the great works of art.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And one like super quick question, pretty much yes or no. If you were elected, would you work towards repealing the No Child Left Behind?
Would I work towards?
Because I feel like that's when our literacy rates and a lot of, you can almost see how it negatively impact American students across the board with No Child Left Behind. That's when we stopped really caring and we just started pushing students through.
I remember I was in like 3rd or 4th grade and the teacher was threatening to like give us all Fs because we were misbehaving. And one kid said like, well, because of No Child Left Behind, you can't actually do that. And that's my experience with No Child Left Behind. I'm 26, so you know, I actually.
Oh, I was about to say he too young to know the answer to that. I had a feeling. I didn't want to be.
I was a product, I guess, of No Child
Left Behind.
But I'm glad to say my education was not rooted in my elementary, middle, or high school days. A lot of it I was just self-taught. You know, with this foundation for the revival of classical culture, where I learned a whole different approach to learning, which was the Socratic method to learning. I guess like I can safely say yes, because there's something very wrong with our education standards. I would just work to completely redesign our complete curriculum, and if that means, you know, we have to start from scratch, then I'm willing to do it.
Facts. Great answers, Jose. I'm going to play the clip that you sent me, and then I'm going to move on to Kamal Johnson with his question. 1 second, guys. Let me pull it up. Here we go. This is a clip that Jose sent us.
Nobel Prize winning economist here to tell us how great the economy is. I certainly wonder how the residents of Asheville, North Carolina must be feeling right now with no access to power or water or communication with the outside world. I wonder how enthusiastic they are about the economy right now. I wonder how enthusiastic the residents of the South Bronx must be feeling about the economy. Hey, maybe North Carolina should rename itself Israel so it'll get $20 billion in aid. Or maybe Ukraine so it can get $300 billion in aid. Maybe the South Bronx should do the same thing. I mean, I'm sure the economy is great for smug liberals like yourself who make $5 million and are worth $5 million. I'm sure the economy must be great for all you smug journalists, economists. All of you must be having a great time with the economy when most people can't even pay for basic necessities, for people who are getting evicted because they can't pay their rent. Because over in the South Bronx, just a few miles away from here, there are portions of buildings that are literally collapsing. And I'm supposed to give a shit about the stock market? You want to know why the presidential election is tied right now? Because our money is being sent to
Was this
Israel
before
and
he won,
Ukraine
Jose?
so that they can continue to bomb
No?
innocent
Okay.
women. You think that's a great economy? I'm sure Israel, with their free healthcare, is having a great time with American taxpayer money. Hey, is anyone here going to talk about the fact that we could be in war with Iran in a few days? Or do we need to focus on the S&P 500? Is that what actually matters? The S&P 500, when most people may not even be alive here in a few days just because we're on the verge of nuclear war. Hey, listen to me, Mr. Krugman. Your degree is worthless. You might as well use it as paperweight because it means nothing. I hope you enjoy the dead children that the economy is powering. Our economy is definitely very powerful right now. All that stock market money goes to the military complex so that more innocent women and children are dead. And fuck off with the New York Times, the liberal apologists for war and genocide. You all fucking suck. People need to wake up right now, and we need to have peace. We can work with China. We can work with Russia. We don't need to start war with Iran.
Oh man, what's the backstory, Jose?
So that was in October 1st, I think, or September 31st, something like that, of 2024, just last year.
Okay. That's what I said. Is it before Trump won? Okay.
Yeah, it was before Trump. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant if it was before Ritchie won. I don't know why I thought that. Yeah, it was before Trump won. It was that guy that I was yelling at. His name is Paul Krugman, and he's known as Mr. New York Times, and he was hosting a symposium. Said the economy is great, so why don't people feel that way? And he's known for lecturing Americans, for telling them like, oh, the economy's great, the stock markets are up, people are making a lot of money, like why aren't people more happy with the Biden administration? He did such a great job. So that's why I went there to go and give him a piece of my mind, and yeah, that's what that was.
Okay, that's a good clip. All right, Kamal.
Yo, what's good with y'all, man? I was having technical difficulties on the goddamn back end. Like I looked up who the opponent of what's his name, Ritchie Torres. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who the hell he is. I just looked him up today, and they didn't even have you pop up, Jose. They had some other dude named like Ruben or something. So like all my shit was scattered and stuff, and I had to change thumbnails. But anyway. First question I have for you, Bert, is what's your lineage? What's your background? What's your lineage? Like that's my first question.
I was born here in the Bronx. My parents are from El Salvador. My dad fought in the Salvadorian Civil War at the age of 15, and then he came to this country when he was 18 or so. And my mom was a refugee of the Civil War. And they met here in New York, and then they had me in 1998. So that's my lineage. That's where I come from. If you want a more esoteric answer, I am a part of all oppressed people in the world, and I am part of every struggle. And I am part of all humanity. There's the John Donne poem, "Ask not for whom the bell tolls; it tolls for thee." Do you know that one? Yeah.
All right, I got a couple more questions. All right, what's your political affiliation? Because I couldn't find that shit, bro. Like I was looking just right now, I couldn't find it. What is it?
I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I think both parties are terrible.
Okay. Next question. Me as a Black American, a foundational Black American, what would you do to help my people out?
The same thing I would do to help every person out. which is make sure that everybody has access to a quality education, make sure that every human being and every American citizen has the right and the ability to develop themselves to their complete creative capabilities, and make sure that everyone has clean access to housing, water, food, and proper infrastructure, and make sure that everybody has a mission, that their lives are defined not necessarily in the present, but for the kind of world that we are going to leave people for, let's say, years after we're dead. That's how I define my life. I don't, I mean, there's my life, and then there's, how I live presently. But when I die, will I be able to say that I left the world a better place than, like, did my existence actually have a productive meaning? And I would want to make sure that, for future generations, they have a better life than I did.
All right. Hold on. I do got a couple more questions. Actually, RJ actually asked the question in the chat that I actually had. Gentrification is going rampant out there, and it's fucking us over as as Black Americans. How would you fix that?
Well, gentrification, I mean, it's happening here in the Bronx. It's happening in New York City. The problem is that you have these poor areas that are being overrun by mega corporations like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. And like the thing with Whole Foods is that they try to bring like this sort of fresh food mentality, but the problem is that they outprice the neighborhood. And what that does is that attracts wealthier yuppies that can afford higher rents. And then you have landlords that decide to take advantage of that, and then they raise the rents and they try to push out all the poor tenants. And whether it's through illegal means by shutting down their heat or their water or one way or another. And it's like, for example, I lived in a basement apartment where the ceiling flooded with toilet water because all the sewage water, that's what it was. It was pooling in the ceiling, and then it all just kind of collapsed. I was 20 years old at the time, and the landlord just said, just get out. And like my family and I were homeless, for a couple months or so. And there was I went to my city councilman, I went to my assemblyman, and my city councilman basically told me to drop it because I had gotten a lawyer pro bono. Turns out there was mold in the apartment. And then the city councilman was calling my mom every night saying, your son, if he goes through with this lawsuit, you're never going to be able to rent an apartment in New York City again because your name's going to be on a list. So as a result, my mom got intimidated and pulled away from the lawsuit, and her name was the one on the lease. So, that was the sort of system working for me. So basically, for one, you would need to put people in office that actually care about their constituents and are willing to stick up for them no matter what, which is why, one, I'm running. Secondly, you would need to build new cities. That's just the long and short of it. There is a demand for housing right now that is not being met. And yes, there are buildings here in Manhattan that are virtually empty, office buildings that are just, no one's in them. Should they be reoccupied? Should they be retooled so that you can have housing? I think so. If they're just going to sit there and just be, speculation value, I think that's absolutely horrible. But part of the thing that drives the rent up, part of the thing that drives the gentrification up is the fact that you have these banks that are, the people who actually hold the deeds, not just the landlords. These banks, drive up interest rates, and they drive up speculation prices that even landlords can't afford to pay their bills anymore. And that's part of the reason why it's so insane and crazy right now. There's a big housing bubble. So the first thing you need to do is you need to reintroduce Glass-Steagall to have a separation between commercial investments and speculative investments, and secondly, you need to build more housing, repair the housing that already exists. And I'm totally for a complete and total rent freeze until we can figure out what the hell is going on. I think, most of the people that are leaving New York City right now are not the billionaires. They're the ones that are staying. It's the working class people that are mostly here, and that needs to change. So
I feel you. All right. I got one more question. I ask every politician that come on here this, because I like this to be documented. reparations for us Black Americans. How do you feel about that? And in what form should we get it?
That's a good question, because I'm not opposed to reparations. I don't think they should be cash based. I don't think you can put a dollar amount on the suffering and the exploitation and oppression of 400 years. I think any dollar amount would just be demeaning. What you do is you take places that have been affected long, places like the South Bronx or Detroit, Michigan, or other places where you've had large communities, especially African American communities, where we have been displaced, or people have been, kicked out, or people have lost their jobs and the industry was robbed from them. And you prioritize and do those places first for the revitalization program, which is why I was saying here that the Bronx will be a place where we bring the Space Civilian Construction Corps. The Bronx will get first dibs at reconstruction, at revitalization. And that is my idea of reparations, is that you prioritize the places that were hit the hardest because of the skin color of the people in these communities.
Jose, me as a Black American, it's not demeaning for me to get cash reparations. God damn it, everybody else getting cash reparations.
No, that's true. And like, that's something that, like, Sabrina Salvati, she was, Sabby Sabs, like, she was like the hardest on me about this, and I also appreciate her a lot. She's very good, like the other day they were giving Jewish students, reparations or something. They gave the people who were the Japanese internment camp, people who were there, they gave them reparations. So it's like, and if a reparations bill came my way that said that there would be cash-based reparations, I'm not going to vote against it. I would vote for it. Because if we're going to give money to anybody, I'd rather it go to the people that, are part of the lineage of people who were brought to this country, against their will and were exploited and oppressed. Yeah, the money should go to them instead of these military industrial complex war machines or these companies like Palantir that are currently surveilling the United States and its citizens. So I hope that's a, but
that was, I give you this, Jose. That was the best answer that I heard from a politician on this motherfucker. I'll tell you that much. Everybody else done gave me some bullshit. At least you done came at it correct. You feel me?
Wow. Okay, guys, we're going to transition on. I'm going to play a quick clip, and then I'm going to have Skeptic ask her question. This clip is Ritchie Torres being confronted.
Of Israel killing its own people. How do you feel about that?
You are a supporter of Hamas. You do the bidding of the CCP, the bidding of Russia, of Hezbollah, of Hamas.
To answer questions. Do you support the
I am not accountable to hacks of the Chinese Communist Party.
Israel killing its own people like they did on October 7th.
You are Hamas murdered Israelis.
And
thousands of Israelis murdered, maimed, tortured.
They used the Hannibal Directive, which meant they could kill their own people.
You are dangerously delusional.
You don't even believe that.
And you're promoting the propaganda of Hamas. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
The propaganda of Hamas, it's been said by Netanyahu himself, admitted.
You are a disgrace.
Do you listen to what Netanyahu himself
No, I listen to the truth and to the facts.
Admits?
And the facts tell us that Hamas is a terrorist.
You are a tool of AIPAC, that's all you are.
All right, Skeptic, your turn.
Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be on camera. I had a long day of training today. My main question is, how do you feel and what is your stance on immigration, being that you are from a Latin American country, El Salvador? And I also wanted to know why, although I don't see this as a negative issue per se, I actually agree with you. I think the political parties are a tool for the people to have their needs met. And I do think that both parties have failed in some aspect and have racism rooted in them. But what is the main reason why you couldn't run for either party?
On the first question, I'll just make it very succinct. I think that ICE should be abolished. I think that the fact that now if you want to sign up for ICE, you get a $45,000 sign-on bonus. I think that that's completely absurd, because $45,000 is like a lot of teachers' salaries and for a whole year. And so you're going to tell me that we can give some guy $45,000 just to sign up to, demean and kidnap people and send them back to a place they may not have even been in for 10, 20, 30 years. And also, I think it's being used as a way to set up a fascist dictatorship. I mean, ICE is not really about the illegal immigrants. It's not even about the criminals. It's about setting up means and methods to go after American citizens and anybody who's critical of its foreign policy or of its policy in period. That's what this ICE setup is all about. Palantir has been given a contract to track as many illegal immigrants as it can and to develop the tools and means to do that. So that's, of course, through their tracking through their cell phone, that's tracking through their employment, that's tracking through their taxes, that's tracking their location. It's absolutely insane. And you're telling me they're going to stop at illegal immigrants? They've been doing it to American citizens long before they were doing it to illegal immigrants. We're just seeing the new generation of it. So frankly, you should abolish ICE. And, does that mean we shouldn't have safe borders? No, I didn't say that. I think you should have secure borders. I think there is a way to do both without demeaning and demoralizing and robbing people of their dignity. At the same time, I understand that there's a lot of crime that comes through the southern border. Hey, the NSA spies on every cell phone in the country. They knew what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein and decided not to do anything about it, right? So you're telling me they don't know where the drug cartels are? It's totally bullshit. Regardless, the second question was about the two-party system, right? Why I did not choose to run as a Democrat or a Republican. Yes, I mean, you're right that they're rooted in racism. And, it's not like there aren't people in these parties that I don't look up to or that were a part of them. For example, one of the people that I look up to is Lincoln. Lincoln, I think is a model president, and FDR, model Democratic president. But the two-party system has become quite a joke, and I think it makes people lazy in their thinking. Because if people can just see a D next to my name or an R next to my name, they don't have to do any thinking. They can ascribe whatever they want to me. Oh, he's a Democrat? Okay, great. Yep, give him the money. Or, oh, he's a Democrat? Nope. He's probably pro this, pro that, whatever, right? And that's the problem. People have become lazy. And I think then people start calling for things like term limits because they forget that there's a responsibility the citizenry has in upholding the republic. And I'm tired of this team sports mentality, right? Democrats versus Republicans as if one is worse than the other. They are the exact same thing. They both agree on war. They both agree on the 15 things that actually matter in this country. They agree on how to make your life hell. They agree on how to raise your taxes when they need to. And sometimes they pose, like, for example, like the Democrats right now that are in a minority, they like to complain and bitch and cry. Oh, we can't do anything because the Republicans are in charge and they have everything they do. When they were in power, nothing got better. And nowhere knows it better than here in the South Bronx. For the last 50 years, it's been a Democrat-run city, a Democrat-run borough. The whole city has mostly been Democrat. Giuliani was a Republican, but, it didn't get better under him either. No, I'm sorry. And if that means I have to re-educate people, go through the work of knocking on doors, explaining to people that I'm not running in the primary and I go right to the general election, I will do it. I will do whatever hard work is needed to kill the two-party system and get people to think again.
I agree. That was a great answer, Jose. So guys, Jose, are you going to stay for the show?
I can stay on for another 10 minutes if you'd like, or if you think it's cleaner that I just hop off now.
Yeah, probably cleaner that you hop off now. Jose, can you let us know when when they can vote for you, where they can support you at? I really appreciate you coming.
Sure. People can go at votevega.nyc. You can sign up to donate and volunteer and join us on the streets. People could follow me on Instagram and X. My X handle and my Instagram handle are the same. It's somewhere right here at Hoseby Trigger. I made this when I was 14. Forgive me, Hose B, because Hose A was taken. And you can sign up and follow me on the social medias there. We're trying to do a big revitalization of my social media right now. My election isn't until November 2026. And yes, I know I'm starting very, very early for a midterm run, but quite frankly, I don't care. And there are people who have been pressuring me to either run as a Democrat because they hate Richie Torres so much that they want me to primary the hell out of him, or get out of the way for the Democratic nominee. And my point is that we don't need to, just because some politician wants to challenge Richie Torres in the primary and say, hey, I'm not pro-Israel. You think that makes you great? You think that makes you a great politician? I guess it does right now, right? Because of all the ass kissing that politicians do to Israel. That's true, right? But what's your economic platform? Where do you stand on war with China? What do you think about the war in Ukraine and Russia? What do you think about economic industrial revitalization? Do you think walkable cities are an actual form of good infrastructure? What are you going to do about the sewage system that hasn't been updated in Queens, okay, for the last 50 years when President Carter said he was going to do something about it, right? That's the stuff that actually makes you a good politician. So my warning to people who are my age, and younger, who are going to be voting for the first time, it's like, listen, being against the genocide is good politics. Being pro-Palestine is great politics. But I'm running for federal office, okay? And we don't need to replace Richie Torres with some know-nothing congressman. We saw that already with AOC. We saw that with Jamal Bowman. I'm not interested in being that. You know what? It's kind of like... what's that thing, right? You have to love yourself, right? And you have to pick people to be your partner who are going to be at your standard, and we don't settle. We don't settle, okay? Just because he doesn't beat you doesn't mean he's a good boyfriend, okay? He can still be lazy. And that is very true for politicians as well. Just because he doesn't want to send your money to Israel doesn't mean he's going to be a good congressman, okay? So anyway, I hope that makes it clear. And again, votevega.nyc, and you can follow me on social media, Jose Trigger. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jose. Good night. You have to come back closer to the election. Actually, we have some really big people lined up, so we really appreciate you coming. You are actually a big person, I think. I think that you have a very good chance. I wish you the best of luck. I will support you in any way and retweet anything for you. So we really appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very nice. And thank all of you for having me on and letting me come on your show and, talk with you all.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
Bye.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So, guys, go support Jose. It's a very important race. That brings us to our first topic of the night. Skeptic, you're going to love this topic. I did it for you, girl. Alligator Alcatraz. So, at first I was like, no, they're going to be in nice conditions. It's so nice. It's lies that they're not doing good. Or it's not good there. And I'm going to let Skeptic be the first to answer. But I have this clip. This is the conditions from what I'm hearing, what it's like. And you know me, I'm not a sympathizer for people here illegally or undocumented or what have you. But I do think people should be living in good conditions. Hold on. 1 second, guys.
Great. That's when you play the Jeopardy music, bro. It's the perfect time.
I know. For real, I'm having an issue.
Nora, you frozen? Oh, she's frozen.
Damn, frozen too. Good Lord.
I think the internet's been having problems today because it's been crazy all day today. TikTok too.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've had to back out and come back in a couple times. I think it really is the internet. They're trying to get us, guys. Is everybody prepared? It's the end.
Nora, you froze.
I know. I'm sorry.
Bring it on.
What the hell was going on? It's storming here. My bad, guys. Skeptic, I'll let you talk about Alligator Alcatraz while I pull up the clip.
I'll say this. Kristi Noem came out not so long ago, probably I want to say a few days ago, if not last week, saying that Alligator Alcatraz is the example for all other states to open that type of holding facility for immigrants, and also to make it near airports so that they can transport them faster, which is honestly a despicable thing to say from her.
Yeah. So this is the clip, guys. The things I've heard about it, I personally have known people that know people that are there, and I hear it's horrendous from the people I personally know, being on how it's in Florida. Let me hit play.
That's the voice of Pedro Hernandez. He's on the phone with his wife, calling from so-called Alligator Alcatraz. He said he was talking to anybody that was listening. Whoever can help us with what's going on here, we've all been hungry since Tuesday, Pedro says. He arrived from Cuba in the United States in 2006. He was arrested 4 years later and got a deportation order. In July, during a routine visit to ICE in Miramar, the feds scooped him up. It was the last time his wife saw him. My husband was in prison. We make mistakes, but we learn from them and fix things, Damaris Hernandez says. Thursday, she shared Pedro's plea for help from what he describes as deplorable conditions. It's also day 9 with no food. He's on a hunger strike with other detainees. I'm not going to eat another plate of food until they show us respect, Pedro said. Meanwhile,
Florida has struck an unholy bargain with the Trump administration.
Democrats in Coconut Grove held an emergency town hall denouncing the conditions at the detention center.
And so when people are forced into these tent cities with substandard conditions, we're going to see people irreparably harmed, not only for due process, but people are not getting their medication. They're not getting food. They're not getting hygiene. They're not being able to use the showers.
So to be clear, from what I'm hearing, the facility is there, but it's not done and it's not ready. They're in tents. There's 32 men to the rooms that you saw. There's 32 men's in it. The food, what they showed is not what it looks like. The food has maggots in it. And I heard this from someone I know personally. So this is not propaganda. It's not, it's not rhetoric. It's really what we heard. Gray, today we were on that. We went to the Don't Piss Me Off morning show, and you saw the propaganda video. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like they're probably trying to get ahead of this and try to make it seem like it's better than it is. Like, there's a role in Florida where they've been working on it for I think 20 years. And Nora, I think in Orlando, it's a building they've been working on. So there's memes in Florida where it takes construction an extremely long time to be built. So I'm not surprised. I feel like we was talking about this only a few months ago, and this place is supposedly built already for people to live there when prisons normally take a while for construction. So I'm not surprised. And yeah, I did see the propaganda video, but you need to be able to confirm with real reporters what's going on at these places.
Enzo, what have you heard about it, and what's the defense for it if you have any?
My only defense is this. I could care less what's going on down in Alligator Alcatraz when you have federal prisons and state jails that are a lot worse than Alligator Alcatraz ever will be. But nobody gives a shit about them. And those are American citizens. Why are we not bitching and complaining about that? Why is it just because illegal migrants are being treated badly for a month or two? Why is that such an issue when we have jails, prisons, where American citizens, some of them wrongfully accused that are there, being treated terribly? And this is from somebody that I know too, Chris Quaglin, who was arrested on January 6th, told me everything, and I have the paperwork to back it up, and the lawsuits that he is suing the Department of Prisons for, talking about those conditions. I don't care about this at all. I really don't. Maybe this should be a wake-up call to all these people who want to come to America and maybe say, maybe we shouldn't be coming to America illegally. Maybe we should come the correct way so we don't get put in those type of situations. And again, I don't care when the Biden administration did it worse, the Obama administration did it worse, the Bush administration did it worse, the Clinton administration did it worse.
Later.
But there was no fucking uproar. I don't care. The only reason there's uproar is because it's Trump. When a Democrat's in office, no one gives a shit. That's all I'm going to keep saying.
Well, 1 million people allegedly have self-deported. That's what they're reporting. Kamal, what's your thoughts on the 1 million that left? Do you think that putting them in horrible conditions are going to be a deterrent or persuade, a tool to get people to self-deport at this point?
Well, first of all, I got my sound effects going. Enzo, bro, god damn, you was cooking, bro. You was whipping it up, god damn, for real. I mean, Enzo,
Well, I got to when it comes down to this.
yeah, like, bro, why
I'd rather stand up for American citizens than anybody else first.
Man, facts, bro. Like, we really do got jails and prisons that's in worse conditions than and they called it Alcatraz. Y'all remember Alcatraz? That shit was weren't they holding like prisoners of fucking war and all types of shit in Alcatraz? They was holding some of the worst criminals there.
Take it from me. I spent a week in lockup. I know how shitty it is.
I'm telling you, bro. Man,
I'm about 40 men to one cell. That was me for a week.
God damn. And see, that's the thing though. Like what Enzo is saying, like, why are we worrying about illegal immigrants when we got American citizens? You feel me? Especially, from my lineage. You feel me? Like, come on, bro. Like, and at the same time, I look at it like this. Go build your own fucking homeland up at this point. Like, at this point, it's like, all right, y'all say America's shitty. Now they putting you in shitty situations. It's like, at this point, just go back to your homeland and build that motherfucker up, man. Show us up. You feel me? Be the greatest that you could be in your goddamn homeland. Build it up so you don't have to face alligator Alcatraz and fight fucking alligators and all types of shit there. And I'm convinced, Heaven, you deported your ex-husband. I'm convinced. You got him deported. Ain't no way you disclosing that. You like, I got the details too. All right, Heaven. Shout out to you in the chat. You deported your ex-husband. God damn.
Before Mia gives her critique, her comments, I have another clip I'd like to play to Heaven's point that some of the people being caught up are residents, and gotta give all sides. So here we go.
Alligator Alcatraz, and tonight, for the first time, we are hearing from detainees actually inside the immigration detention facility, deep in the Florida Everglades. Good evening, I'm Jim Barry. A popular Cuban reggaeton artist is among several people describing the conditions there as inhumane. CBC's Miami's Anna McAllister joins us live from the jail in West Miami-Dade, where the artist was first held before being transferred. So Anna, what is being said tonight?
Jim, this musician and the other detainees tell us that they're being treated like animals. They say they haven't bathed in days, and one man says the food that they were served was infested with maggots.
They're charged with aggravated assault with deadly weapon and battery.
Last week, Cuban reggaeton artist Liamzi Izquierdo, known as La Figura, faced a judge following an aggravated assault that happened in Miami-Dade. According to La Figura's girlfriend, she received a call from him this morning from Alligator Alcatraz.
I am Liamzi La Figura. We've been here at Alcatraz since Friday. There's over 400 people here. There's no water to take a bath. It's been 4 days since I've taken a bath.
La Figura goes on to talk about what he says are the horrific living conditions inside the facility.
They only brought a meal once a day and it had maggots. They never take off the lights for 24 hours. The mosquitoes are as big as elephants.
During the call, La Figura passes the phone to other detainees who describe their experience.
They're not respecting our human rights. We're human beings. We're not dogs. We're like rats in an experiment. I don't know their motive for doing this. If it's a form of torture, a lot of us have our residency documents and we don't understand why we're here.
Another man who says he's Colombian explains that he needs medication and that he hasn't had access to it in days.
I'm on the edge of losing my mind. I've gone 3 days without taking my medicine. It's impossible to sleep with this white light that's on all day.
The man goes on to say what little faith he's been holding on to has diminished since being detained at Alligator Alcatraz.
Damn. That those I mean, where are they sleeping? Those beds don't look that bad. Mia, you ready to go? Or should
Yeah, I'm good. I gotta
Okay.
leave the camera off because my cat won't leave my phone with the damn stand alone. She
Aw.
literally won't stop playing with it.
I saw, she's cute.
Um, I don't agree with human rights violations. Just like I don't agree with human rights violations in Gaza, I don't agree with them here. I don't think we should be treating inmates, regardless if they're American or not, to the point where it's a human rights violation at all whatsoever. However, I do think that maybe they're allowing these bad conditions to be a deterrent for people to come in the future or to not come in the future. You had that one sheriff that threw all his inmates outside in tents and basically did the chain gang and to deter people from going to jail. So, I mean, jail itself is supposed to be a deterrent from committing crime because who wants to be in jail? It's not supposed to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be pretty. However, people should have basic human rights. So hopefully they can get it together. I would not be surprised if there was maggots in the food and there was crazy stuff going on. I mean, there probably is mosquitoes the size of bats out there. I don't know. I've never camped in the Everglades. I just think they need to get it together. However, people shouldn't be here illegally either. So like get the fuck out and you won't have to deal with it.
Usually I don't do this, but Skeptic, is there anything you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, so I do want to say that we do have reports. Not only do we have these videos, but we have reports from congressmen and congresswomen that went into the facility because we know that congressional members can go in and basically, review these facilities to see the standards that they're upholding. So I want to, number one, say that to say that prison inmates are being held to the same standard is factually incorrect. It's a blatant lie, to be honest with you, because the comparison between the foods that they were being fed, not only with what the congresswoman and congressman reported, but also with people that have come out of these facilities have said they're being fed, does not abide by the standard that we hold prison inmates to. So the people that are working there, the ICE employees, they have said that they get fed according to the prison standard, but the inmates are not held to that same standard. I also want to say we have seen children that are U.S. citizens be deported, some that had cancer. We had a young boy with leukemia who the ICE agents later on came out and said they were horrified at the memories of hearing him cry out in pain every night. He was, I want to say, 7 years old from El Salvador. And these type of things that they're doing isn't just going to deter per se, but it is literally going to show immigrants that come to this country that hold 46% of the creation of S&P 500 companies here in the US to not come here. The students that are the researchers in STEM and science to go to Canada or go to another country. People that want a vacation to not come to Florida, to not come to the US because they do not want you here because we're full of bigots. So, not just are they violating human rights, they're deporting people that are not illegal. They're deporting naturalized citizens. They had a 70-year-old grandfather who came in because he lost his green card and couldn't find it, who was deported. So they're not following the law. They're not going through due process, and they're making people go through these horrific, foods, and people are getting sick. There's a book written by a woman called Hear Our Voices that literally tracks the amount of children that have died in these facilities because of the standards that they have. They hold things so cold, or sometimes like in the Everglades, it is so hot. There's so much humidity. They set this place up in 8 days. They had 8 days to set this place up. They do not have running pipes. They do not have running water. They have to bring in everything that they feed to the inmates. And the conditions of this place, the congresswoman that went in there had a temperature gauge, and she took in the entrance where the air conditioning was hitting her directly, it was 81 degrees. So just think about these men that are sitting in these cages close to each other in the Everglades with mosquitoes, and to think that they would have maggots in their food is probably the beginning to say how disgusting it is. Also, they have to drink water in the same place that they're using the restroom. So this is America. This is what YT America has done. They've done worse things than this in their history. So I'm not surprised that America is doing this, but to say that this is a good thing that America is doing to immigrants is honestly despicable. But anyways.
All right, Skeptic, you cooked, you said what you had to say. I appreciate that. We're gonna move on to the next topic of the night, and it's regarding Cenk from TYT versus 20 Republicans and Democrats. Let's play the first clip. Actually, this is somebody that Gray knows. Gray and me have met him personally. Let me play.
1,000 athletes. So for 10 people, we had this giant debate, and the far right were like, no, that's it. This is what the Democratic Party is all about. And the far left was like, yes, that is all we're about. And this is about vulnerable communities, and you have to protect them. So this is the hill we're going to die on. And we're going to talk about this nonstop, okay? But meanwhile, we're getting robbed every single administration. Trillions of dollars in tax cuts under Republicans and under Obama. Tax cut after tax cut for rich, for the corporations, deregulation after deregulation. You know why they want to split us? They want you to fight left and right. They want you to look left and right. They don't want you to look up. Look up. Okay.
Well, of course, having to look up is very vital, okay? My master always tells us to look up. That's why I wear the cross. But the point that I'm making is that social issues, in order to really, wouldn't it make sense to effectively mobilize people, you should start with things that can touch them every single day. Social issues impact children, women, men, all of us across all ages and across all ideologies. Shouldn't it be, for the American population whose average attention span is maybe 43 to 56 seconds at best, to influence them politically, wouldn't it be best to start with something like a social issue that would then raise their awareness to issues dealing with the rich and issues dealing with taxes? Why not?
Because that splits us. It splits us on purpose. Those don't unify. I say the exact opposite. Why don't you start on bills we all agree on that have over 70% popularity, like getting money out of politics, anti-war, and lowering drug prices through Medicare. Instead, you get to social issues.
Oh, Lord. So are you proud to see him, Gray?
First off, shout out to Dr. Julio. He's not a real doctor, but me and Nora worked with him on Dana with the Data Show with Judge Joe Brown. We pretty much were on with him every night or every other night before the election.
Not every other night. We were on with him like 2 or 3 times for special events. Don't tell lies.
Whatever. But it felt like every night because I had to argue with this person all the time. He constantly came at me. He constantly was just like, oh, you're wrong about this. You're wrong about this. But I always love to see people that I work with in this get success. So shout out to Dr. Julio.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, Kamal, do you think he won the debate?
I ain't gonna lie, I kind of tuned out. I wish that who was the fat motherfucker? That ain't that Christie or whatever?
That's Cenk from the Young Turks. They're like one of the top. They're in the top 5 biggest political podcasts in the country.
I wish bro would have talked about food because what they were talking about was boring as hell. Bro. I know he could whip up some. I know he whipping up some spaghetti like a motherfucker. Telling you that right now. And then hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Stop calling yourself a fucking doctor if you're not a doctor. At this point, I'm gonna call myself a doctor. Call me Dr. Johnson. Shit, everybody else calling themselves a doctor. They ain't no goddamn doctors. The hell? Like I said,
He's a black conservative, Kamal, and he went to the White House.
I don't give a rat's ass. Why does he call himself a doctor?
He used to do relationship content, and then he turned to politics. He's friends with Amber Rose too. I'm just giving backstory on who.
Is he Republican? Because he gave Republican vibes.
Yes, he's the Republican. Yes.
That's like that. Y'all know that woman, Dr. Bryant, call herself a doctor, but she ain't really like a doctor and shit.
Yep.
It's the same shit. Stop calling yourself a doctor. You're not a doctor. Only person who could do that is Dr. Dre and Dr. fucking Pepper. The rest of y'all better go get a degree somewhere. Call yourself
Dr. Pepper.
The hell? I'm tired of that. And like I said, I tuned out when they talk about it. Just sounded like the same babble. And the social issue. I'm like, none of y'all giving damn solutions, nor y'all giving policies for your sides. Y'all just arguing about nothing. It was nothing. It was just babble. At the end of the day, from what I heard.
Well, he made the cut for the intro. Mia, what's your thoughts on the debate piece that we showed with Dr. Julio? I know he's a friend of yours. Friendly.
Yeah, I guess friendly. I don't know him, for the record anyway. I don't know this man. I will say that if for that clip, in my opinion, I didn't agree with him. Because it is not, when we concentrate on only social issues, we create a culture war. We need to worry about the class war. And I keep screaming this to everybody that it's a class war. It's the 1% versus the rest of us. So in that essence, we need to stop concentrating on the social and start concentrating on the bigger issues that concern all of us. So I didn't agree with him.
Skeptic, what's your thoughts? Do you think that they accomplished anything in that little clip that you saw? Oh, you're muted
Sorry.
there.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
My phone was acting crazy. Sorry. So two things. Like I do think that classism and racism are intertwined. I think that the reason why racism has been able to continue on in countries like Latin America and America is because they've been able to hold status and kind of relate that to whiteness and therefore kind of continue to hold power. So I can see from that standpoint that, that's my conclusion of it. So I don't necessarily agree that it's like solely one thing. But I will say this, because this is the main thing that I noticed. Christians are starting to look very wild because we have people say crazy things while trying to show that they're Christian and then going back and kind of showing how unchristian they are. Like I had a conversation with a Republican this morning and he came up and was like, don't talk about Jesus, and then continued on to say very racist things and cuss and do all these things. And I was like, you're such a great Christian to come up here and try to, defend that. So I think it's a funny thing when I hear someone like try and use Christianity as a I'm better than you card, and it just makes them look crazy.
I don't know. Christians look crazy to me. They were defending that lady playing Jesus. But Enzo, what's your thoughts?
So, I mean, I really don't know much about those two whatsoever, but I will agree with Mia. Focusing on social issues versus the class issues, I would agree. Go after class issues, not social issues. I will agree with that. That's really all I got.
Okay, we're gonna switch gears and go to the next clip. This is them debating what is left versus right, which was interesting to me because they had Cenk being representing as a populist when they probably just said he's an independent. Let me play it.
And stamp. We have the left that tends to be more socialist and communist, and then we have the right that is more crony capitalist.
Okay.
The left wants to take your taxes and they want to distribute it the way they want.
Yeah.
The right wants you to keep your taxes right now. They want you to keep your overtime taxes. They want you to keep your taxes on tips. So
Yeah.
what is your...
Yeah. So first of all, brother, you got to stop saying socialism and communism. None of the
Why is that?
Because none of the Democratic politicians are in favor of that. They're actually...
They are. Bernie's quite literally socialist.
No. So he says he's a democratic socialist. Even he doesn't really go towards what you would consider socialism, because you're putting socialism and communism in the same bucket where they don't belong. None of them are in favor of ending corporations, ending capital, etc. In fact, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, their number one problem is that they're corporatists, not that they're socialists or communists.
No, they quite literally wanted to
will do whatever corporate donors tell them to do.
They wanted to end businesses over vaccine mandates.
Yeah,
that
no, brother.
Yeah,
no, but that's drug companies. They're doing the exact opposite of communism. They're saying corporate donors, we will do whatever you corporations want. So when you turn to the Republicans, it's the same thing as Oliver. They have a 5 to 10% release valve with Donald Trump now. He's pretending to be a populist. So he goes, oh my God.
Donald Trump isn't pretending. He is a populist.
Well, look at
he just won the popular vote, both left and right, moved in his direction.
No, hold on. So when you talk about that bill, the budget bill, that is not big or beautiful. Well, it is big, but it's definitely not beautiful.
Sure.
The majority of the tax cuts go, of course, as always, to the rich, right? But they put in a tiny release valve of, we'll help the middle class a little bit on tips and overtime. Whether that even stays in the bill is a different question.
How come every time a Republican's
Here, let me tell you a fact.
I make more money and I spend less on taxes?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you a fact. So what they do is they throw a little morsel at you, as Obama and Biden throw a little morsel on you for social policies, as we discussed earlier. But the overwhelming majority always goes to the rich. For example, in this bill, they're cutting Medicaid and SNAP by $1.1 trillion. Do you know how much is going to people making above $500,000 a year in tax cuts? $1.1 trillion. Okay, so they're literally taking from the poorest people and giving it to the richest people.
Which is what the liberals have been doing forever. So what's the difference?
How are they doing? So no, brother, what I'm saying is you're actually proving my point.
Hmm. Uh, Skeptic, what do you think about that clip? Did he prove the point? Do you think people are better under? I know you're gonna say no.
See, the funny thing about talking to Republicans is you have to go back to kindergarten because they say these words that they don't understand. Like communism is a classless, moneyless society. There is not a communist country. Like it's so funny when they're like, "Oh, you're a communist." What is communism? And they're like, "A socialist, a Marxist." You don't know what you're talking about. You look dumb. So like first learn the definitions of words before you just start throwing them out there. And he's right. You know, socialism is not even what we implement in America. We are a majority capitalist society. We have some programs that came out of the Cold War or whenever we were fighting against communism that it had roots of the socialist ideologies, and a lot of them were pushed forward by Democrats. And so like it's so funny to hear them talk, especially with economy. Like I worked in finance. I love the economy. I love numbers. Like I like even just sitting there and reading reports about stuff. So like when I talk to someone that's like that ignorant, I just like laugh. And it's like, you know, I can't even have the conversation because I have to start at like step 1. So then we can't even have the conversation at step 20. But anyways, the interesting thing is that in the last, I want to say 5 presidents that have been Republicans, they have left us in a recession, if not like in the brink of the economy, you know, having big time issues, starting with George Bush and then going down to Trump after he left office. Because of the stimulus, he basically caused the inflation that then Joe Biden came in and helped reduce with the Inflation Reduction Act. Like everything that we've seen, even with Obama, when he came in and we had the house market crash after we had a Republican president, Obama handled that very well. Democrats have always made us more money. It's a funny thing when I hear Republicans talk and they don't even understand because number one, laws that are implemented that come out that allocate funds, the person of this country is Congress. Congress has been majorly handled by Republicans in the last decade. Republicans have had the majority of both the House and the Senate more than Democrats have since 1994. They have had the majority. So if you're mad about your taxes not going where they should go, you should be mad at Republicans. You shouldn't be mad at Democrats. Anyways, I land my plane.
Kamal, someone in your chat said, right, people have to start educating themselves on politics, willfully ignorant and mixing up concepts. Shout out to Taisha. What's your thoughts on the concepts and mixing it up? And it was like a lot of word salad to me in that clip too. So I give that.
It surely was a lot of babble, wasn't it? Shout out to Taisha though in the chat. Hey, y'all acting like I'm zoning now. I'm reading y'all comments. Y'all funny as hell right now. Y'all talking about Bernie need to lay off the spaghetti. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. If Shaq or whatever his name was, he was kind of cooking in that clip though. Cause he like, bro, what are you talking about? Socialism, communism, all these motherfuckers capitalists. Even Bernie Sanders, he a damn capitalist. You feel what I'm saying? He just dressed it up in like a socialist way. It's like, nah, bro, you start really asking them questions. I'm like, damn, he for corporations and shit. God damn. But at the end of the day, yeah, it was a lot of word salad, a lot of babble. At this point, I be thinking, okay, when they going back and forth, I'm just at the point like, when y'all gonna start talking about policies and how y'all gonna fix the stuff? Cause y'all be talking about the problem like a mug. But nobody ain't talking about no policies. Like Shaq could have really been like, hey, this what Donald Trump is doing, right? But this how we gonna fix it. They don't never do that shit. Never. On both sides. I'm like, God damn. But I guess the problem more entertaining at this point. You feel me? I guess the problem entertaining is hell. Cause the solution, that shit ain't nowhere to be found, ain't it? Good Lord.
Well, that goes to my next clip, and I'll have the rest of the half of the people respond to it. Chank's assertion is that he feels the Republicans never fix issues, but I could say the same could be said about them. Let me play the clip and I'll show you.
About $15 to $30 billion in subsidies every year. How come the Republicans never talk about that? Oh, we're going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. But you're not going to cut $30 billion for the richest companies in the world?
If you help people out the top, it's not hurting people at the bottom.
How come Trump is best friends with Big Pharma and he's not touching drug prices
at all?
Yes,
he is. He's matching them to Europe. Yes, he's got policies coming in.
Okay, now that's a perfect example. He said that as an executive order, knowing that he did the same executive order in the first time around, and the courts knocked it down. He knows the courts are not going to do it.
So it's not his fault.
No, it is his fault.
He is
Because
trying to make it
hold on,
easier
let
for
me
us.
explain. Let me explain to you. So then what Ro Khanna did, he's a Democrat, he's really smart, he went and got a Republican co-sponsor and said, let's take the executive order and turn it into a bill. Verbatim, Trump's executive order. All of a sudden, Trump and the Republicans not in favor of the bill. Oh, there you go. It was a trick all along. They don't actually want to cut the drug prices. The minute you turn it into a bill, they go, no, I don't want it. How about negotiating drug prices through Medicare? Trump said he wanted it. Now, all of a sudden, he never says anything about it because he loves Big Pharma and the big money that they give him.
Enzo, what's your thoughts on that clip? Do you think that that's something that Republicans do, or do you think both parties do it?
I think it's both parties. Because you've had no party, no president put any type of legislation forward to bring anything down. I mean, yeah, sure, you had Biden put cap on insulin, but for seniors only. How is that helping everybody? So this is a both side issue that neither side is really putting solutions for. And then people want to talk about putting that executive order into a bill. Okay, what else was entailed in that bill? I mean, I'd have to look into it for them to say no to it. There's got to be obviously something else that's in it. So I mean, let's not just point the finger and say, "Oh, Trump said no, Trump said no, Trump said no," just because a Democrat put it forward. Let's look into it. Let's get the real facts on it. I don't like how they just play or both sides. I'm sorry. I will say that both sides just play an argument and say, well, the Democrats said no. Well, the Republicans said no, but they don't give you the full reason why. And if it's specifically just because the Democrat put it forward, I'll agree with them and be like, yeah, that's fucking stupid of Trump because his people didn't come up with it or he didn't come up with it. I'll agree that's stupid. So we need to do better on explaining things and showing things from the full context.
Gray, do you agree with that clip? But what Shank said, is it just the Republicans or is it the Democrats too?
Specifically, I mean, you're going to basically have to look at who's in power. I mean, right now, the Republicans are in power. They have the power to move legislation forward. That's why we vote. We vote to say, okay, we feel like this group is going to do this. We feel like this group is going to do this. Certain things Republicans are going to pass. Certain things Democrats are going to pass. That's why we have the two-party system. Republicans are going to help the rich so they can do some research and development and create products, and Democrats are going to come and do stuff for the poor, the social class, stuff like that. So both of them do something different for society. That's why they pass different things.
Nia, what's your thoughts? Is it Republicans and Democrats, or is it both sides?
It's both sides. I mean, it is 1000% both sides. Democrats have had 60 years to change the country. They haven't. Republicans have had 60 years to change the country. They haven't. Again, it is not a culture war. It is a class war. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're red or if you're blue, you bleed green because all they care about is money. AOC, Bernie Sanders, Obama, Clintons, all of them, every single one of them, all are beholden to their corporate donors. The same thing, Trump, JD Vance, it doesn't matter. They're all beholden to their corporate donors. The second they get into Congress, the second they get to DC, it is all about the corporate donors. Point blank, period. There's not a single Democrat that you can point to that says they don't take corporate money. Every single one of them do. And we caught a lot of them in a lie. So all of them do it. If we wanted to fix the immigration system, it would have been fixed. They don't want to fix it because it musters the arms every 2 to 4 years for all of us to come in and vote on these social issues with our emotions. We need to eliminate the two-party system and we shouldn't even have a two-party system. The DNC and the RNC are private corporate entities. They're not run by the government. So why are we giving private corporate entities that we have absolutely no say who sits on the board of directors? We have no say how they spend their money, but we allow them to control our elections. These are private corporate entities. People need to get out of the mindset of RNC and DNC and get into the mindset of America First, which means we abolish the two-party system, and people need to be voting based off of their priorities as individuals. You need to stop looking at the D and stop looking at the R and start looking at who they are as people, what kind of family they come from, and what their personal priorities are. And so until we abolish the two-party system, we are all up shit's creek without a paddle because Democrats suck and Republicans suck equally.
Fully agree, Mia. This is the best thing you said all night. I can't agree more. We're going to play the last clip, guys, and we're going to allow everybody to do their reaction and closing thoughts on the last clip. Guys, if you're watching, I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching and supporting, and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. All right, guys, here we go. This last clip is about populists and populism, because I guess he was the populist. Let me play.
Sound like a political pickup artist. Like, just do this one trick and we can fix it all. And to me, it's no different than what MAGA is doing with their faux populism, with the deep state, with undocumented immigrants. Someone to blame. You're just giving people corporate, corrupt Democrats or corporate media as an excuse. And I think you're just taking advantage of disaffected people and not showing them we got to get more involved. We got to invest more. We got to try harder and get good people in there.
So you're saying that don't even try progressive populism, just go along with the establishment Democrats because they know how to win. That's why they beat Donald Trump twice. Oh, right. They lost to Trump twice. They don't know anything. Their number one thing was, oh, we know how to win. They were liars. They didn't know how to win at all. They got clowned by a guy who's not that bright. Now, number two, oh, we have this giant agenda, $15 minimum wage, all the things that we've talked about throughout the day. Oh, golly gee, we just couldn't pass any of it. Oh, wow, okay. But hey, vote for an establishment Democrat. Don't get tricked by
Yeah, so guys, populism means like somebody that represents the people. Skeptic, I'm gonna let you do your closing thoughts first. You can react and then say your closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think that I think the reason why this man is so dangerous is because of how ignorant he is. He said that he wanted to reduce drug prices by 1,200%, which honestly made me laugh. Also, while putting a 50% tariff on the EU, whose number one imports are pharmaceuticals. Like the ignorance. The thing about populism is that you have this, ability to vote someone in that may be incompetent and put them in a power, like a position of power that they probably shouldn't be in, which is exactly what's going on with this president. However, I think it's like interesting what y'all were saying about both parties. I do think both parties do it, but I don't think that Trump came out of either party. Trump came out of a bunch of people that came together and he gave them a bunch of boogeymen and racism as a basis for them to be able to vote for parties or make their own party, which was MAGA. So anyways, I definitely see what he's saying, and I see both things. I think that there should be another party that comes out. Until we have a powerful third party, unfortunately, the two parties that we have to make the best of what we do. And like, I advocate for people to vote for Democrats on main issues. And if there is an independent in your area that is standing for policies that are not rooted in racism or rooted in trying to take human rights away, I say vote for them. Like the politician that we had tonight, I agree with him on a lot of things. I agreed with him. Everything that he said, I basically agreed. He would have had my vote if I thought that he had a really good chance of winning. So anyways, join us on TikTok. And like I always say, don't let anyone trample on your constitutional rights.
Skeptic, when you going live next? So I know you said you're in school. When are you going to be at Castle's Lives?
So I've been on the live like in the afternoon more, because mornings I'm doing training, and like this week is like a really difficult week. We're like doing all kind of interactive things. It's the first week back. But probably the next week I will be back like co-hosting and not just joining live. But right now I am on Castle's Live, and I've been doing it daily. So like if you jump on in the afternoon, I should be there.
Okay, so y'all should go support. Castle is actually going to be coming Thursday night, which brings us to our topic for Thursday: the FBA, the Black conservative, and the Pan African. So I'm so excited about Thursday's night. We have our FBA Kamal on the cast. Well, I'm just kidding. I don't want to say that that's all you are, but Kamal will be representing the FBA side. So you guys definitely want to come back Thursday night. It is not going to be necessarily a debate. We'll still be doing topics, but we'll have 3 representatives from both sides. Kamal, Andre is going to be there. And Casso. So, Kamal, what's your closing thoughts for the night?
Thursday gonna be fucking interesting. I'll tell you that much. My closing thoughts. First of all, Jose, appreciate you coming on and answering the questions. You did have the best answer in my eyes out of all the politicians when it came to reparations. You did say no cash at first. Then we got you on record. You said if a bill comes and says cash reparations, you will sign it. Got you documented saying that. I did want to ask you another question, but that'd be another time when you come back on. But we appreciate you, bro. Second of all, appreciate the panel. You know what I mean? Learn some new stuff. Not only that, had fun on the panel tonight. And not only that, I got the new party link pinned to the top of the chat. Y'all go subscribe to them and also hit the notification bell so y'all know when they go live. Also on my end, Kamal Johnson Network. Y'all go over there on YouTube and also hit that notification bell so y'all know when I go live. All right. Also the chat. Shout out to y'all. Y'all was funny today. Also, y'all was informative too. You feel me? And heaven, Dr. Kamal, I like that. Hell, everybody else gonna call himself a doctor and ain't got no damn degree or doctor and no shit like that. Damn it. I'm Dr. Maul at this point. All right. Anyway, what the other shit? Sheck I meant to ask, is he a populist or is he a Democrat?
So, I don't know. I don't know what he is. Come on. I feel like he's going with the wind. 1 minute he's a Democrat. Now he's critical of the left. I feel like if the left was winning, he would be on their side. You get what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, he doesn't even know what side he's on, I think.
So he's just a regular politician. Got you.
No, he's not a politician. He has a podcast like us. He has a podcast where him and that girl, Anna Kasparian, they're co-hosts.
Well, he close enough because all these politicians be flip-flopping. Whichever one's going to pay him the bag, they going to go that way. I'm telling y'all that right now. But, yeah, at the end of the day, some of that shit just sound like word salad. I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting kind of tired of this shit, just hearing people mudslinging on each other when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. I will say this about Trump. At least the motherfucker executed. He had policies he wanted to do beforehand. He was like, oh, I'm going to do them. And what he doing? He doing the shit. As he mudsling. If you're going to mudsling, you got to also talk about policies and shit that you're going to execute. At this point, all these politicians is mudslinging and they not bringing no policies. This is how I feel.
Yeah. Kamal, what's the topic for tomorrow? Your show. Are you doing it?
Yeah, actually, I ain't got a topic yet. I haven't been able to kind of go into, because there's been a plethora of things that's been out. So, but I'll figure it out either tonight or tomorrow when I like read some stuff, whatever. You feel me? And
what time you going live?
Either 1:30 or 2 Pacific time. I know y'all on the East Coast, so Pacific time, 1:30 or 2. You feel me? And shout out to Buana, man. You feel me? He messing with the shades. I appreciate you, bro. We didn't rank on each other this episode. That's called growth, y'all.
Oh yes, he did. You didn't see what he said?
Oh, what he said?
The only thing he's gonna give you guys for reparations is like a card for the subway.
Oh, you motherfucker! oh, Buana. I was gonna leave you alone. You and your sea turtle.
Not the Metro card.
The Metro card.
Enzo. Oh, the Metro card.
Damn, you're throwing me in the hot seat next.
Yeah.
All right. So my closing thoughts was a good episode. What did we speak about? So I'll start caring about conditions for immigrants when we start caring about conditions for American citizens in federal prisons. I know it's a hot take and some people want to have their opinions about it. And when it comes down to what he was saying about the populists and everything like that, he's absolutely right. There's a reason why the Democrats are polling between 8% and 30%. There's a reason why Donald Trump won the election. It's not based off of racism, hatred, bigotry, all these bullshit buzzwords that Democrats want to pull. That's not what this is. Just because you speak to the bottom of the barrel of racists and bigots within the party doesn't speak for everybody. I'm going to keep saying that. These are the new buzzwords for the Democrats. If you don't agree with the littlest thing that they say, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe, you don't like immigrants. No. That's not it. What Donald Trump is doing is exactly what we voted him in for. And how he's going about immigration is exactly how every president has gone about it. There's been plenty of other presidents. We can go back to Obama, the ACLU article, speed over fairness. You want to talk about no due process? 75%. You want to talk about horrible conditions? Let's talk about the cages where 80 people were in cages sleeping on floors with aluminum foil blankets. There's documented footage of this. No uproar like there is with Donald Trump. At least he's giving them a bed. At least he's giving them some type of food, unlike the past administrations. So I don't want to hear shit from the Democratic Party about anything. I really don't. When you guys fix your own issues within your own party, then you guys have the seat at the table.
Damn. What the heck? Why are you on here? Oh, she left? Oh, Mia need to go.
No, I'm still
What happened
here.
to Enzo?
Oh, you pushed? No,
Enzo
he's right
left.
there. No, he's in the backstage.
Damn, y'all kicked me?
Oh man, it's Mia's turn. Hold on, I don't know what's going
Oh
on.
my God.
All right, so I want to say first and foremost, I would like to say thank you to Jose Vega. It was great having him on here. His answers were very good, very articulate. He definitely has a plan, and hopefully he wins, and hopefully we can get him there. It was very delightful speaking with him. And as for my closing thoughts, I really feel like, and I feel like I say this time and time again, but it is not a culture war, it is a class war, and both parties are shitty. And we need to abolish the two-party system just so we can all get ahead and survive, because it is and will forever be the 1% versus the rest of us. It is a class war and not a culture war. And I think people should remember that. There's a lot of issues right now that's floating around social media concerning women, concerning immigration, concerning X, Y, and Z. And at the end of the day, it is always going to be the elite rich versus the rest of us. And we need to band together and remember that if we band together, we can actually make a change. It is a class war, not a culture war. And I hope everybody has a good night.
For sure. So my closing thoughts are basically first with you can't have a populist agenda with a global economy. Trump himself came, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, basically saying that he's going to let the farmers that he kicked out come back over here and be able to get citizenship, and that the farmers that he talked to said, oh, nobody else can do the job. The people in the inner city can't do the job. So Trump himself is even backtracking on this. Thank you, Jose, for coming. I think you're kind of young. I hope that you win, but if you don't win, keep trying. We do this every Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Like we always say on a new party, always vote.
Always vote. I want to say thank you to the new party team. Thank you to Jose Vega. We definitely appreciate you for coming. Jose, you are young, but I think you're going to save America. And I think Gen X will save America. Our very own Enzo is a part of, Gen Z. Our very own Enzo is a part of Gen Z. And I don't agree with my partner, Gray. Populism at its core rejects the tired left right binary and challenges the very system that has failed everyday people. While Democrats and Republicans are fighting over power, populists fight over purpose. Hence why the great president Donald Trump has won. They ask, who's really benefiting from the system? Because for decades, both parties have served corporate donors, Wall Street, and endless war machines, not the working class. However, populism, true populism, flips the script. It's the people, not lobbyists, not billionaires, not career politicians, who set the national agenda. Whether it's left wing, demanding Medicare for all, or right wing, populists demanding secure borders and jobs, the goal is the same. Power to the people, not the elite. Both parties have had their shot, and both have presided over rising costs, endless doors, record debt, and a collapsing middle class. Populism isn't perfect, but it's a wake-up call to the establishment. And for that reason, I say shout out to our guest that we had on, Mr. Vega. I really hope he wins. And guys, thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for the Man Cave Show. Good night and God bless.